In the annals of the Old West, among the killers, the gamblers, the outlaws and the lawmen, few stories are as haunting as that of Tom Bell, the man history would come to call the Dr. Bandit. He wasn't born to crime. He wasn't raised with a gun in his hand or vengeance in his heart. No, Tom Bell was once a healer, a trained surgeon, educated and compassionate, who saved lives on Civil War battlefields and frontier outposts. But somewhere along the way, something broke, and when it did, the doctor became an outlaw and helped invent the most iconic crime of the American West, the stagecoach robbery. Tom Bell was born Thomas J. Hodges around 1825 in North Carolina. By all accounts, he was smart, driven. He pursued medicine and became a practicing doctor, a rare and respected path, especially on the turbulent edge of the American frontier. But it was the Mexican-American War that first took him away from the operating table and onto the battlefield. He served as a contract surgeon with the U.S. Army, treating wounded soldiers in some of the harshest conditions imaginable. War changes men. And for Tom Bell, the horrors he saw left cracks in his spirit. When the war ended, he drifted westward like so many others, seeking new beginnings in California, where gold fever was in full swing. But gold was fickle. Tom tried his hand at prospecting. He failed. He opened a medical practice and it didn't last. Overwhelmed by debt, disillusioned by the chaos of boomtown life, and perhaps haunted by what he'd seen in war, Bell slowly abandoned his oath to heal. In time, he would take up a gun. By 1855, California was lawless in many parts. Prospectors carried gold dust by the pouchful. Stagecoaches ran routes between mining towns, often loaded with thousands in coin and bullion, and yet few had tried to rob them, at least not with precision. That would change, because Bell had a plan. He assembled a gang, not of thugs, but of desperate men, many former soldiers like himself. And together they plotted what would become one of the first organized stagecoach robberies in Western history. It happened on August 12th, 1856, in the Sierra Nevada foothills near the town of Sonora, California. Bell's gang stopped a stagecoach carrying $100,000 in gold, a fortune at the time. But the job went sideways from the start. One of his men panicked. Shots were fired, a woman passenger was killed, a tragic, senseless death, and with that the gang scattered. The loot was never secured, and now the manhunt was on. Tom Bell didn't flee far enough. He was captured near Fireballs Ferry after being betrayed by one of his own, a gang member named David Howard, who turned informant to save his own skin. The townspeople wanted justice, swift, final. Bell never made it to trial. On October 4th, 1856, a vigilante mob dragged him from jail and hanged him from an oak tree just outside Stockton, California. No last words, no mercy. Thus ended the life of Tom Bell, the Dr. Bandit, a man who began his life saving others and ended it by taking part in killing. But what makes his story linger isn't just the crime, it's the contradiction. Here was a man with the skills, the intelligence and the soul to serve others, and he did, for years. Yet somewhere in the aftermath of war, the disappointment of failed dreams and the growing wilderness of the American West, he lost faith in society, in himself. Bell wasn't evil in the traditional sense. He didn't thirst for blood, but he became a symbol of the broken West, a land where men could rise fast and fall even faster. After his death, newspapers sensationalized his story, calling him the notorious stagecoach robber or the bandit doctor. But few understood the man behind the legend. Fewer still remember that it was Tom Bell who pioneered the crime that would define the West for decades. From Black Bart to Butch Cassidy, Every masked bandit who stopped a stagecoach in the dust owes a shadow of their story to Tom Bell. Today, few traces of him remain, but if you ever pass through the back roads of the Sierra foothills and find yourself under a weathered oak tree near Stockton, you might hear the wind whispering of a doctor who became a bandit, and how desperation, in the wild heart of the frontier, could twist even the most educated man into a legend of regret.